softball. Is Chick-fil-A really the Lord's chicken?
I can say confidently yes. Yes, it is.
All right.
And Jeff is in the back. He's saying, yes, I agree. So just so everyone knows, Jeff is in agreement with me.
This is a very conflicted moment for me because I'm happy that Jeff is disagreeing with someone else. But I also now agree with Jeff, so I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Hey guys, Josh Cheney here, sitting down with, notice, not Pastor Jeff, but for the last few weeks we've been talking about the God who is. And it's been special for me because we get to see not just who God is, but different perspectives from people who are telling part of their testimonies and stories. Jim last week talked about the God who creates, how he created the world, and how we are co-creators with him. And then this week it's my honor and privilege to sit here with Nate, Dr. Nate, maybe for short, right? Is that longer or shorter?
Just Nate is fine.
Okay, just Nate. So I'm here with just Nate, and I want to hit some tough, hard-hitting questions here because, as I mentioned, it's different perspectives on the God who heals, and you're in the middle of a story that's impactful for us because it's not necessarily just after the fact and you can say I was healed. You're again, and you're in the middle of it. So anyway, with that out of the way, thank you again for sitting down and sharing your story. I know it's not easy to kind of step through that while you're in the middle of the process. So really my first question is, when Jeff kind of approached you and said, hey, I got this thing going on at church, I'd like for you to get up in front of everybody and tell this part of the story for you and what God's healing means to you, what was your first reaction to that?
That's a good question. I thought maybe he had the wrong person. I'm willing to help out wherever help is needed, but getting up in front of everyone and talking about God is not something I've done a lot, or really ever. And I've never done a sermon before, so it just seems very pastor-like, and I don't think of myself as a pastor. So it was a little bit scary. I guess I'll say I was scared at first. I was scared right up until I came up here, and then you're up here and you kind of forget to be scared and just kind of start talking. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that happens all the time. I think even the best. You get nervous when you're up here, when you're getting ready to start, am I going to make a mistake? But I think it's proof positive that I know the Holy Spirit was speaking through you in both services today because it resonated with me when you said that, there's a lot of different layers and answers that just don't come easily.
Sure.
And we think of it so often. We have this distorted thought process of healing, I would think, where it's just like, I have a physical ailment, so just heal that physical ailment and it'll be fine. You mentioned that even within this storm of cancer that you realized other pieces may have been broken of your life. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, so what I didn't say was that a year ago, almost to the date, I was deployed to Afghanistan.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So I left for Afghanistan in November of 2020, and that's really where the whole diagnosis of cancer started. So I was actually medically evacuated from Afghanistan, and then came back here, and then immediately started the whole cancer process. All that to say, being deployed for 5 months away from my family was stressful. It strained our marriage. It strained me personally. And then instead of coming back and like having this wonderful reunion and then like going on vacation, which a lot of people try to do, it was like, oh, I have to get a colonoscopy next week. Oh, that's not what I imagined doing when I came back from Afghanistan.
It's not the postcard picture that you had
no,
in mind, right?
It's not. Don't get me wrong, I was happy to be home, but yeah, I mean, I think it was easy. We just had a busy life, going through med school and then going through residency and then immediately finishing residency and starting a career up here and moving, and Chelsea got pregnant like 3 months after we moved with our third. So it was just kind of a whirlwind, and it's easy when you're busy, I think, to think things are good. I mean, we didn't have any like major problems. And then things, we had a major problem, and we had a chance to kind of slow down, and I think the Lord used that time to kind of speak to us and We've been able to talk about a lot of things that we've felt we haven't been able to talk about. And the Lord's just used this as an opportunity for us to grow together and heal together, and it's been good.
Now, so when was it again that you were evacuated back here? When was that?
March. I actually came home on my birthday. I literally got home on my birthday.
The layers of this story have.
Yeah.
I mean, if this were an onion, we're just peeling it all back.
Yeah, March 20th, 1990 is when I was born. But
Yeah.
I didn't come back from Afghanistan in 1990.
Right.
2020.
Right.
Yeah.
So
2021. Actually, I guess.
So
Some year.
all that's in the middle of, beyond everything else, in the middle of the pandemic. So
Yes.
health problems and anything else. How did that add extra stress or layers to it at all?
Yes, it added extra stress. The layers being, I got probably 15 COVID tests on my way from Afghanistan to the United States. Yeah, a lot of rules about timing and stuff. So yeah, I had those swabs shoved up my nose too many times. So other than that, it actually didn't impact things too much.
Did you have the rugged beard at that point?
No, because I was still active duty, and now I'm on leave. And I thought, why shouldn't I grow a beard while I'm on leave?
Yeah. See, I thought maybe they just gave you so many tests because they were like, this guy can take it. Like, they were like, man, he's tough. Let's just try another one. It's fine. That's what it was. But either way, we're glad you're back and going through this process. I know you mentioned chemo and surgery went better, and it's kind of this back and forth silver lining, as you mentioned in the message. In fact, you said, God's plan is not just a silver lining to the bad situation. It's to take our pain and suffering and our hurt and to turn it into the source of our greatest joy. What are some ways you think He's doing that now in the middle of all this for you?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm not really sure. I think that's one of those things that I don't know. And I tried to, hopefully that came across. I think that it will be one day.
Yeah.
But right now it just seems like a bad thing, to be honest.
Yeah. And I appreciate your transparency with that, because I think that's, especially today, our culture tells us we should have the answers and we should have them fast. And so just your honesty in saying, I'm not really sure, I don't know where this is going, what good's coming out of it. I just believe that He is good and He'll bring good out of it. And
Absolutely.
That's so powerful, because we forget very often what really I'm taking from this message is that He already gave His Son on the cross for us. He already demonstrated the most impactful source of love that we could imagine. We get in our own head sometimes asking why, when maybe really the answer or the question is just kind of what's next.
Well, yeah, and I think it's easy to start saying, well, if God really loved me, why would He have this thing happen?
Yeah.
But I think when you start thinking about that stuff, because I think it's easy to think about that, right? You have something really bad happen to you that you don't understand the purpose, and it's hard. You have to remember, He already did everything for you.
Yeah.
So why would I think He wouldn't do something for me if He thought I needed it now?
Yeah. Maybe to wrap this up, you mentioned at the beginning, you kind of asked people what their definition of healing was, and your definition of being a doctor before all this was just kind of making people feel better, or not making them, restoring them from illness to some degree, which I'm sure is different than God restoring them completely. But has your definition of healing changed in this process from the beginning to where you're at now?
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know about my definition of healing, but my understanding how God works, at least in my life personally, and His power. I think it's really easy to say, oh yeah, God healed people when He was here, and we saw Paul and Peter and Jesus doing all these healing miracles.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that was back then. That doesn't happen now, and admittedly, it doesn't seem to happen quite as often, but we still have the same God, and He is still the God who heals.
Yeah, absolutely. Great, powerful stuff. Thank you again for the message, for sharing, for sitting down with me to talk about Jehovah Rapha,
Absolutely.
the Lord who heals. And more than anything, thank you for taking time off the set of Grey's Anatomy to come here. This is amazing to have someone who not only is a doctor, but also plays one on TV. You've only got it right here at New Hope Church. There's no other place to get that. Even if Jeff's not here, we've got great fill-ins for him, and we're going to continue that the rest of this month for the God who is. Next week, the God who brings peace, Yahweh Shalom, Jehovah Shalom, whatever the name is in Hebrew, whatever it is in the Bible. I'll work that out, and that's good because that's going to be my message. I better figure that out before next week. So I hope you tune in for that, because one thing's for sure, I can't top this, but the best thing that we can do now is what we do most.
Hold on, I have a question for you.
Oh, well, whew,
Who's going to interview you next week?
Maybe just myself.
Okay, I think so. I think you could do it. You could pull it off.
I think I'm a pretty good guy.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah, maybe I could ask the question. That's right. We've got enough personalities here that no matter what happens, we're going to continue restoring hope one life at a time through Jesus Christ. We'll see you soon, church. We love you.